All right, guys, are there any questions on any of the assignments so far? Any questions over anything we've covered thus far? Any questions over any of the homework assignments so far? So what we covered yesterday was this focus on a parabola. And we had two main equations. One of them was our y equals 1 over 4p times x squared, where the focus is our point 0, comma p. And our directrix was the equation y is equal to negative p. And the axis of symmetry is the equation x is equal to 0. The other equation we had was our x is equal to 1 over 4p times y squared, where the focus was the point p comma 0, and our directrix was the equation x is equal to negative p, and our axis of symmetry was y is equal to 0. And these are the main two equations that we had. Now, yesterday we looked at the equations. We were given an equation, and we wanted to find the focus, directrix, or axis of symmetry. We're wanting to find all these different parts. What we're doing today is, given the equation or graph, we want to find the equation itself. We want to find the equation itself. So looking at this information, one thing they told us was that the vertex is the point 0, 0. Which for any of these here, let's face forward. Thank you. Let's face forward. 0, 0. Which for both of these equations, the vertex is the point 0, 0. So it doesn't tell us anything different there. But if we look at the directrix, we have this horizontal line that crosses at the point, right here is 3. So if we describe this equation, it is the equation y is equal to 3, because that's the equation of that line. Any questions on this so far? Now, looking at the two general equations, which one describes the directrix as y equals? Which one of these two equations describes its directrix as y equals? There's only one of them. It's our x is equal to 1 over 4p y squared. Yeah, that's what I... Because for our y equals... Yep, no. These are flipped on the board. As this is. Because our general equation we got yesterday, our y equals 1 over 4p x squared is the equation. The focus, just by this here, 0, comma p. The directrix is y is equal to negative p, and our axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Now for the x equals, our focus and directrix, again, guys, this is all going based off this information here. So when we look at this here, because the directrix is y equals 3 here, and it's opening down, the general form for this here is our y is equal to 1 over 4p times x squared. This is just going to be the general equation for these here. The two ways we should be able to tell, one of them, one way that we should tell that this is y equals is because it opens up or down. Whenever the equation is y equals, y is to the first power, x is being squared. The focus, or these equations, the graph is going to open up or down. The other way is, well, the directrix is y equals, or the focus, the y value has a value other than 0. So here it's telling us the directrix is y is equal to 3. And according to the general formula of what we have, the directrix tells us that it's y is equal to negative p. Because this here, the only value that we need to find to get the equation is the value of p. Because once we have that, we can plug it into the formula, and we have our equation. So we look at this here, y is equal to negative p for the directrix. Well, they defined it, guys, by y equals 3. So what we're saying is what? That negative p is equal to 3. So if we need to find the value of p from this here, we can divide both sides by negative 1, telling us that p is equal to negative 3. So at this point here, we just need to plug it in and solve. So if we simplify this fraction, well, 4 times 3 is 12. And our sign is going to be negative. And that's all we need to do to solve this one here. We just need to find the value of p. Once we found it, we plug it in and we simplify. Questions on this here? Now again, having these written down somewhere to reference back to is going to be helpful, because trying to keep these all straight is very difficult. It's very easy, as I've already done, to flip these. So again, having those written down somewhere to reference is key. Yes, sir. Do you have your card? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Any other questions on this one here? Let's look at this next one. Now again, for us to be able to find the equation of the parabola, we need to determine which one we're going to use, which one we're going to reference. And looking at this here, they give us the directrix already. They tell us y is equal to negative 2.5. So that's one way we can be able to tell this. The other is that we do have the graph of the parabola and it's opening up, which is telling us that the equation is going to be our y equals 1 over 4p times x squared. Now if the graph opens to the left or to the right, it's opening to the left or to the right, it's going to be x equals. If it's up or down, it's going to be y equals. Some of them. Now, the directrix, according to this here, is y equals negative p. Because again, that's what we need to find. We need to find the value of p. So what it's telling us here is that negative p is equal to negative 2.5. And at this point here, we just need to solve for the value of p. Thank you. So we can divide both sides by negative 1, which tells us p is 2.5. Questions on this here? Now we just need to plug this in. So we can say y is equal to 1 over 4 times 2.5 times x squared. Now we just need to simplify this fraction here. And again, at this point, we can plug this into the calculator. We can do 1 over 4 times 2.5, which turns out to be 1 over 10. And that's it. For these here, if we're finding the equation for any of these, we just need to find the value of p. Once we find the value of p, we plug it back in and simplify. Questions on this here? Let's look at the next one here. Now this one here, they gave us the directrix as x equals -3. And again, looking at our two general forms, the one that has a directrix of x equals is the starting equation of x is equal to 1 over 4p times y squared. This is our starting equation for this one here. And from the general form, this here is telling us that x is equal to -p. So what's the value of p going to be for this one here? Well, what are we saying with this? That -p is -3, so p is +3. If -p is equal to -3, well then positive p has to equal +3. Now that we found that value p, we just plug it back in. So x is equal to 1/12 y squared. And that's our answer. Questions on any of these here? Let's go on and look at the next one. So we look at the focus for this one here. The vertex is 0, 0. Here we have a value for the x and 0 for the y. So looking at these two equations, which one of the general forms has a value for the x part of the focus and 0 for the y? Well, if we look at the 2, it's the one that has our x equals 1 over 4p y squared, because the general form for its focus is p comma 0. That's what it tells us that the focus is in the general form. So because we have p comma 0, a value comma 0, we know it's going to match up to this one here. Questions on this so far? Now this one here is a little bit nicer than the directrix, because it's just p comma 0. So it's telling us what? That p is -2. We don't have to change the sign. We don't have to work anything with it. It's just p is that value. So for here, p is -2. So the directrix, we would have to change it, because it's saying that -p. X is equal to -p, or y is equal to -p, negative of that value. But for the focus, it's just p comma 0, or 0 comma p. It's just that number. So the focus is a little bit nicer on those, because we don't have to do anything to it. So it'd be x is equal to -1 over 8 times y squared. And that's it. That's all we have to do for these here. That's it. That's all we have to do for this here, finding the equation. Questions on this here? I believe this one here is the last one that we're looking at. Now, up to this point, we've dealt with some fractions that weren't too bad. And 3/2 is not bad either, because the general form that we have here is our 0 comma p, because we have 0 comma our p value. And looking at the two general forms, the equation itself, the one we're going to use with this is our y is equal to 1 over 4p times x squared. And for this one here, the value of p is what? Three over 2. And again, at this point here, we just need to simplify it so we could plug this into a calculator and let it do it for us. And it'll just tell us that we have 1/6 x squared. And that's the answer. That's all we need to find. Now, it is possible to get a whole number in front of our x squared or y squared. We just haven't hit a case where that was true. Because if we said that we had a point, let's see here, 0, 1/16, I'm just picking a number. So a number like this here, we would plug it in the same way we've been doing. We'd have 1 over 4 times 1/16 x squared. Now, if we looked at just the fraction 4 times 1/16, if we work this out, it would be 4/16. Well, 4/16 does reduce to 1/4, yes? But we can't have a fraction in a fraction. And again, if you plug this in the calculator to simplify it, it would actually tell you that the equation is y equals 4x squared. So the bigger, or really the smaller this gets, the bigger this number is going to be. So the smaller that value p is, the bigger the number in front of x squared or y squared is going to get. It's kind of weird that it works that way, but that's it. That's all we are going to do with this here. So your homework is on page 84, problems 13 through 16, 25 through 27, 30 through 33. So we're mainly just going to focus on these here. We're not going to focus on the ones where the vertex is away from the origin.